Further now with Mr. Jan Oberg, Director of the Transnational Foundation for Peace and Future Research, joining us here on the programme. A very warm welcome to you. So what do you make of the EU chief's diplomat's recent assertion that NATO's failure to keep some of its promises to Russia doesn't justify the Ukrainian war? How would you assess that statement?
I think it's very important to remember that these promises were given to Gorbachev. They are well documented, for instance, in the National Security Archive in Washington. They are written about in a decent Western media. There is a thick book, if I can show that here, by Maria Sarot, an American researcher, political scientist, 550 pages that documents what happened at that time and why we are today in what she calls a post-Cold War stalemate. And secondly, what is appalling to me is that both the EU homepage disinformation organization within the EU fighting disinformation and in NATO are denying that such promises were given to Russia, the Soviet Union at the time. And therefore, it's very easy for Mr. Borrell to say that, well, that's history and it cannot this and that. I am not in favor of any military action or any war, but to deny that Russia has had a sense all the time of being encroached upon, to be approached, to be squeezed, in a way that every realpolitik person, expert, from Mearsheimer, Kissinger, Brzezinski, God knows who, has warned about not necessarily getting Croatia into it or Montenegro, but Ukraine was the place that could release warfare. There is nothing to be surprised about. That this has caused the most dangerous conflict and war that we're in. And my formulation is Russia is responsible for the war in Ukraine and the West, NATO, is responsible for the conflict. And if we don't look at what caused the conflict, which is always underlying the violence, then we can never solve this problem.